Today's topic is heroic efforts to rescue trafficked girls in India. Hello, everyone. Good to be with you once again. Today, we are very lucky to have with us someone who's traveling all over India rescuing trafficked girls. She's Pallabhi Ghosh, a superhuman dynamo who's always moving, and I have finally managed to get a few minutes with her. Over to you, Pallabhi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Subodh sir, for calling me. Before I go a little bit more detail on what I do, I would just share about why I do it. So what kind of, you can say force me, what kind of actually gave that feeling that I should work in anti-trafficking. So this was long back in the year 2000, early 2000, when I had gone for a holiday in Bengal. It was my cousin's wedding, and I was told by an uncle that he wants to take me to a tour across West Bengal, and that's when he took me to South 24 Parganas, which is a very famous district in West Bengal. And I was roaming early morning, uh, like on the village, and then there is this man, aged 50, early 50s. He comes running towards us, not to me, but towards us, saying this daughter has gone missing. And there, I don't know what happened in that incident. It kind of gripped me. I myself was very young. I was also a teenager. I could not understand how is it possible that in broad daylight that a girl aged 12 is missing when there is just one same entry and exit from the village.
Okay.
I started asking, should I continue?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I started asking him what happened. And he's like, I don't know. I told him, did you go to the police? He said, I went to the police, but the police said that she must have gone to a relative or ran away, whatever. We tried searching for 3-4 days, nothing happened. We came back. I noted his name and the village, and I came back home. My immediate thought was, what happens to missing children? I started doing investigation on what happens to missing children. I'm a very small girl who will pay heed to me, who will give importance to my queries. I started asking random people what happens to missing children. And by the way, the fact that I was doing all this research and investigation on missing children, nobody was aware about it, not even my family members, because I was a very extrovert child, but I somehow felt that, if people come to know of it, if my friends come to know of it, they will make fun of me. Eventually, I came across somebody who was a very senior person who told me that why don't you go to railway stations? That's what he told me. This is before that I went to some parts of Northeast where I saw children peddling drugs. That also kind of gave me that, that picture that, okay, maybe with missing drugs is also, connected. So this person told me, why don't you visit railway stations? And then I started visiting railway station. On visiting railway station, the surprising thing that I saw is that I come from a very small town in Assam, which is known as Lamding. It's basically a railway station, and it's a railway town. And it is like from Bangalore, right now I'm in Bangalore. From Bangalore, it is 3,200 kilometers far. So you can imagine how far it is. And in that region, people generally speak in Bengali or Assamese. I started seeing people speaking fluent Hindi, which I generally heard in Haryana, Rajasthan. And because my father was posted in near Delhi, so I knew that the Hindi in the northern belt is very different from the Hindi in the eastern belt. So that triggered me further. I was like, why these women who speak such fluent Hindi doing in my railway stations? Then I figured out that these women were in the railway station doing begging, banjaras kind of thing. That is how I get more clarity. Okay, fine. Maybe this begging is also connected to missing children. Finally, the biggest revelation came to me when I went to study for my graduation in Delhi. I was in Delhi, so I was talking to somebody. I was talking to my mother in Bengali. There is someone who heard me speaking in Bengali and told me, which language are you speaking? And I told her that I'm speaking in Bengali. Then she told me, the language that you are speaking is spoken by a lot of sister-in-laws in my village, and that girl belonged to Haryana. So that was the biggest revelation to me. I was like, how is it possible? Because we all come from India, and in India, caste, language, religion is a very, very, very important thing. It's very important that you marry the person from your own caste always. and religion is
Yes.
more beyond that. So what I did is that I asked her, "Can you please take me to your village?" She was adamant. She was like, "Why do you want to go to my village?" And I realized that if I go to the village, it will end up in some trouble for her. Anyways, I didn't go, but somehow I could manage going to a village of someone else. When I went to that village, we went very much interior in Haryana in a village, and I see a woman with two kids. And that person who took me told me that, "Why don't you talk to the language which you were speaking that day?" I was like, "No, no, no, I'll talk in Hindi because this woman will not understand." And that girl was like, "No, no, you please speak." So this was another girl. When I started speaking, this woman started crying. And then she told me, "Are you Bengali?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm Bengali." Then she's like, "I'm also Bengali." I was like, "How old are you?" She told me she was 17. And I was like, "How are you here?" Then she told me, "We are a lot of us here." I was like, "How did you come here?" She said, "I was 12. I fell in love with somebody. I come from," so this girl came from somewhere in Doars. So she said,
Okay.
I am from Bengal. When I was 12, I fell in love with somebody. Because we were very poor, he promised me that he will give me a job in a bag factory. I accompanied him. He bought me here and he sold me off. Now I have two children. My husband is in his early 50s. Imagine a 17-year-old old girl married to somebody in his 50s. So that kind of, connected all the dots. And I'm like, okay, so this is the picture. That point of time, Google was just, there was a little bit of cases of missing children being reported. I went to my college library and started typing keywords, and I understood the entire thing of what actually happens. And I figured it out that this entire chain is known as trafficking. There is something known as source, which is mostly places like Bengal, Orissa, Assam, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, and there are destinations like Delhi, Bombay, and then other places, Bangalore, Chennai. Then I was like, I need to do something about it, but I couldn't do anything. So I completed my graduation, I completed my master's. I had got a job in a very good firm in Bangalore. I didn't want to do it. I went to Delhi. I started writing to MHA if I could get a job, Minister of Affairs, but I was not getting any response. Finally, one NGO called me because they saw my research experience, and then they saw that I know the source area languages like Bengali, Assamese, all of that. They hired me. For first 2 months, they just put me in research work. They were not putting me in any kind of raids and rescue work. After 2 months, their intervention officer was on leave, so they put me in raids rescue work. The first raid I went, I could do it well, and then I was able to know the laws. I could do the 161 statement. I could do all the statements. I could do
Wait,
the
wait,
everything.
wait. Could you explain what is a raid?
So then they send me to a raid. So raid is something that is generally done. For example, if a child goes missing, and you get to know a tip off that the child is in this area. So what we do is that we first of all verify if an area like this actually exists, which we call Reiki. We send somebody who will find that whether the building is there, the locality is there, the colony is there. After that, once we verify the address, we go to the police station, the local police station. We find the address and find out the address is under which police station, which jurisdiction of which police station. We go to the police station with a letter requesting them that we want to do verification. Earlier it was investigation, but right now we say verification. We send a letter to them and we go with the local police. If it is a case of child, we try to take the uh, like National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, State Commission for Protection of Child. It's a women. We take the National Commission for Women. Then we go with them, and then with the police, we go to the area and verify if there is a child. So, like that, a raid is conducted where you have to take the police with you.
Right.
So I did the raid, and the raid was done in a very proper way. And then my boss was like, "Okay, she's able to do it." So for the next couple of years, I worked with that organization doing extensive raid across the country, forced marriage. There were cases of forced marriage. There were cases of polyandry. There were labor cases. There were prostitution cases. We visited a lot of brothels. But after that, after a couple of years, I left that organization because I understood the fact that there is no point rescuing children, because at the end of the day you have to understand why trafficking happens in the first place. There are some underlying causes for trafficking: climate change, poverty, unemployment, illiteracy. And if you rescue a person and if you don't do any rehabilitation of that person, then there is no point of rescuing, because eventually that person will again either get re-trafficked or the person will come under violence. So that's when I started working with law enforcement, doing mass rescue operations in factories and all other places. I really wanted to open an organization after I left that organization where I was working, but somehow things just didn't happen. But then I helped a lot of people whom I rescued myself to set up organizations where they were also doing rescue operations. But in the year 2020, when I went for a rescue operation in UP, I started getting information of children who were told to be corona positive. They were declared dead, and on investigation we found out that their organs were taken off and sold off. Because when you are corona positive, if somebody says that you are dead, nobody can actually see your body, touch your body.
Right.
Then we saw that there are mass cases of children being said that corona positive, dead, and their organs are taken out. That is when I decided that this is not how it should be. So I need to have an organization, at least, even if I run it solo, the organization, because that will give people more, that credibility and that belief. Because as an activist, there is a limit to which you can work. So in 2020 December, I started my organization. I do rescues in my organization, but the primary objective of my organization is prevention and rehabilitation. Because what I have seen in my 20 years of work as a researcher or as a child activist, and then as an activist working on ground, prevention goes a long way, because rescues is possible only when you have solid, valid information. If 1,000 to 2,000 children go missing, you can find maybe one or two. You cannot find everybody. You cannot find, because the network is so strong, the people are so well connected, there are very big people involved, it's $1 billion business. It's not easy to crack it, and even if you crack it, you can just find one person, and you will not be able to find anybody, because it's untraceable. So yesterday I was just reading that same article in 2013, which came that the mysterious Raju of Delhi red light area, because every trafficker used to call themselves Raju. So that was very funny, because all the girls used to tell me same story. The only difference is that they used to tell me, I used to tell them, who bought you? They used to tell me, Didi, Raju. I don't know how many girls, from how many girls' mouth have I heard the same name. Now you know Raju 1, Raju 2, Raju. You cannot trace them. And the surprising thing is that none of the girls can give you the description of the person who was trafficked. Even if we have tried getting what you call people, those artists, we have tried getting photographers. No, they cannot explain. I don't know why. Maybe because they're intoxicated or whatever. So that's when I decided that I will start my organization, will primarily focus on prevention and rehabilitation. So what I do with my organization, the name of my organization is Impact and Dialogue. The reason also for keeping this name is that I have seen huge differences that I could make just by having dialogues with people, in terms of just by having a cup of coffee with somebody in US helped us, in cracking a case of trafficking where 2 children were traveling and it looked suspicious. She just called the child helpline. So, I started realizing that awareness goes a long way. So I work very closely with educational institutions, with child welfare committees, with social welfare departments, with law enforcement. I work with everybody for the prevention of trafficking, and these are mass campaigns that I do with everybody to ensure that trafficking is prevented. And it has had huge impact in terms of people have actually reported about traffickers. People have reported if girls go missing, people have become more vigilant. So the impact has been huge. And also rehabilitation, because what we try to do, any girl we rescue, we try to give them some alternative ways of livelihood, because we feel that if she can manage her food, clothing, shelter, then at least she will not be vulnerable. Of course, it takes a long way in changing everything, but then our primary objective is both prevention and rehabilitation, because we believe that it is very, very important to make them stand on their own feet. Because when I've sent these girls home, the challenge that I have faced after sending these girls home is that their family members consider them like a baggage and immediately want to dispose them of. And when you talk of disposing them of, their only objective is getting them married. Now, when these girls married, these girls end up getting married to people whom they don't even share that they are traffic survivors. And the people who kind of, marry them, after knowing that they are traffic survivors, immediately leave them. And that point of time, they have 2, 3 children with them. They don't have a support system. They are more vulnerable because that time they don't have to feed themselves, they have to feed their children also. So, our focus is, to kind of rehabilitate them as much as possible, because this whole concept of poverty is so much ingrained in every state of India. At least with Bihar, there is one thing that is little different. That's like one part of Bihar is very poor, but the other part, people go for IAS, IPS, very hardworking people. So you can say that, to some extent, trafficking is in control. In Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, because of the Adivasi belt, of course, trafficking is rampant. In Northeast also, it's rampant, very huge. In Bengal plays a big role, and a lot of people do not agree, but Bengal has been a prime source for trafficking, especially all kinds of trafficking, because the poverty is a big problem there. There is climate change, there is migration, there is porous borders, there are, unemployment, there is illiteracy, and also there is displacement that keeps happening. So this is a brief about like the work that I do with my organization. My objective is, I believe in one thing of at least talking to 5 to 10 people almost every day. I don't know whether it. I don't know whether. I don't know whether
it's hard to
offline.
find you to talk to me because you're talking to the people who we really need to talk to, right?
Yeah,
okay, so now how many people do you have younger people with you now?
In terms of volunteers or
Yes.
no?
Yes.
Yeah, volunteers, I have 2 of them. Actually, the thing is that with volunteers also, sir, the thing is that the work that I do is very sensitive and very niche. I have to really be careful with their safety and security.
Yes.
I get a lot of people who tell me that they want to help me, they want to support me. But the thing is that I am just concerned that the way I deal with threats and all of this, I have to see that whether they are able to deal with it. Because, it looks very adventurous and very interesting, the work that I do, but in reality, it is really very, very tough, because in the sense that there have been days that we keep waiting and waiting in police stations, we keep waiting and waiting in social welfare departments, we just keep waiting. And you never know. I told you, out of the 1,000, you might be able to rescue just one person. So
Yeah.
it is challenging, and it is.
No, I understand, because you are fighting a system that is built in and very strong,
Yeah.
and you are just 1 or 2 people. Obviously, you cannot be successful without hard work and lots of luck too. It's obvious. So
Yeah, absolutely, sir.
Yeah, there's no question that it requires a determination that most people don't have, and the willingness to take risk. It is very risky because you are attacking.
it's very risky.
You are attacking somebody who's making lots of money off it. It's not trafficking is for money. The traffickers are in it for money, and if you disrupt it, then you are disrupting their business. So obviously they're going to fight back. Okay,
so it is.
So how do you pay for yourself then?
So I do some consultancy, but most of the time, all the money goes in supporting the survivors, because I just got the Indian compliances right now, the ATG and 12A. And FCRA I have not got yet, because my organization is yet not eligible for an FCRA. It has not been 3 years.
So FCRA means foreign money, right?
Yeah, foreign money. And so whatever money, I have some individual donors. So whatever I get, it goes to my survivors. So of course it's tough, but then we manage. My husband works, so we manage with that. But then, of course, after a point of time, it gets really annoying, because the thing is that whether you eat or you don't, you have to pay for the survivors. And when you talk about survivors, you have to make sure that I have 40 girls, 20 under my vulnerable program, which is in Assam, and 20 for my survivors program in Bengal. So the cost of each girl is 2,500. The Assam program, the accommodation
2,500
is
per month or year?
Per month. For one girl. But the Assam one, the accommodation is absolutely free, because it's a convent and it's a school where I studied. So they gave me the space, but the food, I have to pay the food and other expenses. But the Kolkata one, it's a rented place because, you know, in Kolkata, it's a huge issue because the reason is that the girls come from minority community. All
Yeah.
the girls, all
Yeah.
of them. Not a
Yeah.
single one is from the Hindu community. It's mostly from the minority community. And there is no convent where you can keep these girls. Again, there is this religion and all these issues
Okay.
come. So if we have a rented space whose rent is around 10,000, and there also I keep 20 girls. I was not in favor of keeping these girls in a space because my always objective is to mainstream them, because I feel that shelter homes kind of institutionalize people, which is again a big problem because they are kept. But it is not a shelter home, it's more like a safe space. The reason is that we tried keeping the girls at home and we realized that the enormous stigma comes from families.
Yeah.
The way the families behave with them, that's just horrifying. The comments, the girls I meet every time, this time also when I was there, they keep crying and telling me that, you know, my father-in-law said this to me, my sister-in-law said this to me. And when a boy is trafficked, the outlook is very different, but when a girl is trafficked, the outlook is very different. When a boy is trafficked, they say that he has gone out he had gone out in search of work and he got duped. But when a girl goes out for work, they say that her character is bad. So, you know, it is completely different the way they deal with a boy and a girl. And on top of that, the community kind of banishes them. So it's like in a village, it is like from one house they take water, from another house they take ration. It's like that in village system. So the moment they get to know that this girl is came from a bad like trafficked, they don't even ask whether it's a red light area or it's a like house from where she was rescued. Their immediate mindset is like she must have gone to a, you know, place where prostitution happened. So they will immediately tell everybody in the village that, you know, from tomorrow, don't give water to this house, don't give groceries to this house. Now the parents want to get rid of the girl because they have a lot of children. They were like, for one children, we can't, all of us can't suffer.
Right.
So just take away these children. So that's a problem. The victim compensation thing is completely very difficult in terms of the government of India has given victim compensation for anybody who is trafficked, but it is so sorry state of affairs that, you know, the victim compensation never reaches the survivor. One of the cases where I am still a witness, and many of the cases where which I have actually been witness to, most of the survivors had, you know, either died by suicide because of no justice. The justice system is very delayed. The entire process of, you know, verification is very difficult. I have seen my survivors not getting victim compensation. For example, if they're said that they will get 4 lakh, 5 lakh, they don't get it. They might get 1 lakh and the rest of the money will come as an FD, fixed deposit, which they can get after 10 years. The money is needed by the girl right now, so why will she get it after 10 years? And when you ask this question, there is no answers to it. Traffickers are roaming in their villages very casually, and these traffickers are their own family members, their sister-in-laws, their brother-in-laws, and they can't do cases against them. It is very easy to blame them. They're like, why don't you do cases? But the thing is that how do they do these cases? Because they are from the own family. If they put up a case, that the person with whom their relatives are married, that will, first of all, that family will break apart. Secondly, they will be getting threats. And as an activist, it's very easy for me to say that why don't you do this, why don't you? But the vulnerable situation from where they come, I know it takes years for me to even tell the survivor that, you know, tell your name or go and file a case. And people end up counseling them. More than counseling them, it's important to counsel the community, the society, because there is still so much of conservative outlook. I still remember I went in the month of February, and a girl was bitten by a snake, and the entire village had gathered, and they were like, you know, call a babaji. The babaji will do something, and the, you know, she'll be cured. It took me hours and hours to make them understand, you know, call a doctor. They were like, no, the doctor can't do anything. So, you know, it still feels like we are in we are talking about 23rd 20th 21st century. This is not we. I still feel going there that people are still not, forget about education, they don't even know how life is. It is horrifying state of affairs. People have access to They don't even access to clean water. They don't have access to food. The places where I go, people eat salt and rice. They don't have money to buy vegetables. It's so much of poverty. And it is very easy to say from our place, like, why do they don't do anything? They can't do anything because there's no work. If your houses are, you know, floating in water, if there is floods, or if there is cyclone happening every year, how do you even stay in one place?
Yeah.
So it is, so that is the thing.
Okay. All right. Do you have any senior supporters by chance?
Senior supporters in the sense, no,
Any,
sir, I don't have any
like
senior supporter.
people who are important or older who think you are doing good work, they can't join you, but who
There,
support you.
there are people in terms of supporting, means like they sometimes tell me, okay, we can help you in making the budget, we can help you in doing this and doing that, but not as such. Like, they are people who, when I reach them, they kind of, there, but in terms of support, no, not yet.
No,
I don't
it's
have
okay.
anybody.
All right. Okay, it's great work. You have painted a very grim picture, a dark side of society. And I'm thankful that you have not tried to make it softer than it is. It is harsh. And you have painted it harshly because it is harsh. And you have first hand witness to it. You're seeing it. Of course, there is a much improvement in India and so on, and we talk about it. But this dark side is still there, as you have told us, and it leads to the kind of social problems, economic problems for the girls who are trafficked and who just, even if they are not trafficked, in then states like Punjab and Haryana, especially Haryana, a lot of guys who can't find girls because the ratio of boys to girls is very high in those places. So they marry women from Bengal and Assam and Odisha because they are short of girls in that part because of the ratio at birth, because of abortion of girls. They are short of girls. So they have no
Girls.
choice but to marry from outside. And so that is actually one of the reasons when you mentioned Haryana, because there aren't enough girls
Girls,
born
yeah.
because of
But some of
abortion.
the girls are well, so I went this year in January, I went for meeting some of my survivors. And along with that, I met quite a lot of girls in Haryana and Punjab. And on talking, of course, their husbands were much more elder to them. But, on talking to them, they told me they don't want to go. And I am someone, I don't look at trafficking the way everybody looks at. I feel that after a point of time, if they are able to sustain themselves, if they are fine, I just don't drag them out of that, because eventually if they go home, they will be starving.
Yes.
And here, yeah, they will be starving.
Yeah.
And they have set. They're like, Didi, we were trafficked. We came here, but right now the husband with whom we stay, he's very old than me. But then he takes care of me. He takes care of my child. No,
Yeah.
now do you realize? So everything is not as black and white as it says. There is some amount of gray also. So that is also I
No,
put
it's
a
well
focus on.
known that the life in the village is so harsh that at least here, there is some income and there is some stability of income, right? It's not up and down. And whatever be the social treatment, at least there's food to eat and electricity and so on, which is certainly there. So, yeah, I know, I understand what you're saying, that it's a very complex situation. And you have to look at it case by case. You just can't make a blanket statement, right?
Yeah, absolutely, sir.
Okay, fine. Well, I know you're busy, so you have any final words for our viewers?
No, I just want to say that I feel all of us, see, this is not something that I can work and bring a change alone. It's kind of a movement. Everybody has to work together. I would just request everybody who's listening to me, please be a little alert and look around, especially with your children or with your grandchildren, with people around you. Because what happens is that now a lot of children are getting trafficked through social media. And I'm not telling you to stalk your children. Please don't do that. Uh, just be a little bit friendly with them. Try to spend some time with them, because I've been rescuing a lot of children, very small children, who are trafficked through channels like Discord, Slack, Instagram. And these are children coming from very upper middle class families, like elite families, not the poor families. And the biggest problem these children have is that their parents are not giving them time. The parents are giving them everything in terms of material benefits, but not giving them, the affection or the time that they want. So my only request to all of you is that we always think that, this is not going to happen to us. This is going to happen to somebody else who is very far away from me. I just want to request everybody listening to me, it can happen to you in your own household. So just be a little careful, be a little alert, because you know what? You never know. I have seen people very close to me, officers who, IPS officers who thought their children will never get trafficked, but their children ended up missing. So I think it's very important that we are updated and aware about the situation. We talk about these issues and not just, be in our own cocoon and thinking that parents always want to keep their children in a protective environment, which is absolutely true. But then you also have to understand that you need to tell your children and people around you about things like this, which happen frequently. So this is just what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Pallabhi. I know I can't have someone else like you on my channel, but let me say bye to the viewers and not say that I'll have someone else like her, because I don't think there's anyone else like you I have come across. But nevertheless, I will have some other person next time. And bye till then. You can also say bye to the viewers, Pallabhi. And
Bye, everyone. Thank you
bye.
so much.